And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Randy's Rubs High School Sports Report out of District 9 3A Division 1. Excuse me. You go see our title sponsor, Randy's Rubs, at randysrubs.com, and check their website out. Get you some of that seasoning. Once you get it, that's all you're going to need. Their premier seasoning is called This Is It. It's the only seasoning you'll have in your cabinet. We've went through and thinned a lot of ours out here at the house. Because This Is It is all we need. You can go right there to randysrubs.com. Locally owned, locally operated, just right there out of Magnolia. And go see them. They are on TikTok and all the social media platforms. Go give them a like and a follow. This Is It seasoning is calorie-free, low sodium, fat-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, non-GMO. So for all you health nuts out there, this is it. It's for you. I promise you, it doesn't suck. Let's talk about District 9 3A Division 1. This district shapes up a little bit different than what it did in the 2021 season, as we dropped Trinity, we dropped Elkhart out of that district, and we picked up Woodville and Shepherd into that district, which Shepherd's moving into 3A Division 1, where they've been needing to be for the last 4 years. They have been stuck over in 4A Division 2 in Murderers Row with the likes of Jasper, Carthage, Rusk, Center, and Shepherd was the smallest 4A Division 2 school in the state, and it was by like 6 or 7 students is what put them in that 4A Division 2 bracket. So them being down in 3A, really looking forward to seeing what they can do this year at the 3A level. They're starting the season off with a 1-2 record. They have a home game this week, homecoming for the Shepherd Pirates against Hempstead. I suspect Shepherd's going to get the win out of that. Crockett Bulldogs, they're going to be hosting the Groesbeck Goats this weekend and this Friday night. I don't expect Crockett to get the win out of here. A lot of coaching changes, a lot of stuff going on there, and just don't really see Crockett going to proceed forward to get another win out of this. I could be wrong. It's just my projection. They're 2-1 on the season as of right now. Still a lot of football left to go, and that's the overall record. We get into district play this next week. Orangefield is going to be on the road at Woodville. Woodville is another team, 2-1 on the season. Their one loss was to Franklin, which that's no punk. You put them in the same category as what you do Newton whenever you start talking about high school football in Texas in the small school size. 4A and under 4A, 3A and down. You got to put Franklin in the same category as Newton as a contender. Woodville's going to be hosting Orangefield. Orangefield beat Shepherd last week, which this game has a lot of relevance as I go to putting it down on pen and paper as I try to break this district down and what I think it's going to be. I feel like that this is a game that Woodville should win. They won last week, beat Liberty 38-21, I believe was the final there. It was a close game. So I suspect, let's see, I got it right here. They beat Liberty 34-27. So that was the final there last week. Hardin Jefferson's going to be on the road at Diboll, another contender for this district in that number 1 spot. Common goal there for the Diboll Lumberjacks, and you go score comparison out of these teams. Diboll lost to Franklin last week, 35-23. But in week 1, they were shut out by Madisonville, 42-0. And I think that was an eye-opener game for Coach Morrison and the Lumberjacks, as they followed up with a 33-24 win over Kirbyville in week 2, and then rolling into week 3. They fell to Franklin 35-23. So if you want to know how I kind of look at the districts and break it down as far as how I think they're going to finish out the overall season, I scoreboard compare. I look at the games. I watch a little bit of film on these games and see how the defenses and offenses were comparable and to who's going to be playing what. And that's how I make my district picks as we move on through the season. Huntington, coming off a loss this last week against Tarkington, they're going to be hosting Warren this week. Huntington, not a threat, I feel like, in this district. They're winless this year in the pre-district. They lost to Elkhart 42-20. Frankston, they lost 33-15. And Tarkington put a 49 spot up to Huntington's 12. Warren coming to Huntington this week. Not a game that I see Huntington winning. I could be wrong in this. It could have been an eye-opener this last week with Tarkington getting the win over, just basically beating the brakes off of them. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Red Devils kind of shake out. Not a team that I suspect to make the playoffs. Right now, if I was to pick the top 4 teams out of this district in no particular order, I would have to say it's going to be Diboll, Woodville, Cold Spring, and then I'm going to put Shepherd and Palestine Westwood in kind of limboing in that 3, 4, 5 spot, really and truly. And those games could go either way. Now, Palestine Westwood's defense coordinator is no longer their defense coordinator. He made the move in the offseason. He is now the DC there in Shepherd, which is a Cold Spring alumni and played under Coach Morrison. So he's keeping it in the district, just changed school districts, and went over there to Coach Robinson and staff to help them out defensively. I think it's a great hire for Coach Robinson over there in Shepherd as Ked Harrison makes that move. He's a Stephen F. Austin grad, Cold Spring grad, and I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing him over in Cold Spring at some point in time as a coach and representing the red and black of the Trojans. So my top 3 for sure going to make the playoffs is going to be Woodville, Diboll, Cold Springs. Shepherd and Palestine Westwood are on the bubble. Now, I say all of that to say this. Out of the last 5 years, Shepherd's beat Cold Spring 4 times. So very easily, that could shuffle Cold Spring down in the mix. Now, I did talk to Coach Robinson via text message over the last day or two. He did tell me he's got a lot of linemen out right now with homecoming coming up this week for the Shepherd Pirates. So that's going to be kind of suspect. I'm glad they're out this week in a pre-district game before they get into district and can battle it out into district play. The Shepherd Pirates have had a pretty successful season overall. As I'm trying to pull their schedule up, this new app that I have is not really what I like. I wish they would have left it the old way. Anyway, Shepherd, their first loss was to New Waverly, who was just bumped up into the top 10 last week in the Dave Campbell's Texas High School football standings. 44-32 was the final in that game. They beat Tarkington 30-14. Now, talking to a good friend of mine, he's like, Tarkington had that game in the first half, yada, yada. My point with that is you got to play 4 quarters of football if you want to win. You can't play a first half and expect to win over that. Cold Spring tried that against Liberty in Week 1 and dang near lost that game. 28-21 was the final there. So they lost to Orangefield 42-26 last week and have Hempstead coming to the house this week. Moving into Week 5, they'll have Crockett, and that is their first district game of the season, and that is a home game for the Cold Spring Trojans. So the district shapes up as this. Cold Spring is 2-1, Crockett is 2-1, Diboll 1-2, Huntington 0-3, Palestine Westwood 1-2, Shepherd 1-2, Woodville is 2-1. So kind of give you an idea of what the breakdown is of the district. Now, upcoming games, I know I covered some of them. Palestine Westwood going to be at the road to New Waverly. Going to be an interesting game to watch just right down the road from the house. And I won't be able to go because I'll be doing the Cold Spring Trojans game, who is hosting the Corrigan-Camden Bulldogs. Palestine Westwood, this is going to be kind of a pinnacle game for them, really and truly, as I look at this and carry them into district play and how I rank everything this next week. Warren on the road at Huntington. Hardin-Jefferson on the road at Diboll, a game that Diboll should win, especially with it being a good home game. Orangefield on the road at Woodville. Hempstead on the road for homecoming for the Shepherd Pirates. And the Groesbeck Goats are going to be on the road going to Crockett. So, and then as we touched on, the Cork and Camden Bulldogs will be on the road at Cold Spring. I will be at that game. You can hear that game on 105.5 KDOL, AM 1440 The Score, or stream it on our 59N Sports Facebook page. We'll have it up there as well. So to be able to watch the Cold Spring Trojans game. Got a lot that we're going to continue to cover as we're putting these podcasts together, and the podcast side of this is really new to me. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Randy's Rubs, that's picking it up and putting it down for us. And if you haven't gotten any of their seasoning and hadn't ordered it since you started listening to this podcast, you need to. In the comments, let them know we sent you over here at 59 Sports. This is it. I promise you, it doesn't suck. You're going to absolutely love it, and you will be getting rid of all your other seasonings that you have. They have two lines out. This is it, and I believe the other one's 13. I haven't gotten any of that yet, but I promise you, if it's comparable to This Is It, you're going to absolutely love it. So that's going to do it. That's going to wrap us up today here in District 9 3A, Division 1 show. We're going to have more content to come. We're going to talk about other districts as we progress on. So y'all give us subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get those notifications. Leave us some comments down below, because we want to hear your input, see what you think about the shows, and see what we can do to improve. Also want to direct you on Facebook and YouTube to Anahuac Sports Live. Good friend of mine, Trent Hart, that's his deal over there, covering nothing but Anahuac sports. And out of District 10 3A, you'll absolutely love the content that he's putting out over there. You can find him on TikTok as well. We're going to send it back. We're going to get on the road. We'll see you at the game.